And welcome back to another episode of the Ball Watchers podcast. I am your host, Evan Bloost, alongside my co-host, Joseph Muto. Joseph, how are you doing today?
I feel incredible, man. How are you?
Good. A little under the weather.
Oh
Got
no.
my COVID and flu vaccines yesterday, and
Oh,
they're attacking my insides a little. We're staying strong. We're pushing through, so can't complain too much. I mean, it's a big day. It's a big day for sports. It's a big
yeah.
weekend for sports overall. We've got I saw a post about it. We've got the sports eclipse coming up on October 27th, where we have baseball, basketball, football, and hockey all played on the same
Wow.
day. The only time this
Brutal.
year. I know. And I mean, the Jays, our Jays, not really my Jays, Joseph's Jays, Canada's Jays, made it to the World Series here, which starts on Friday. I mean, it was another pretty solid week of football, I would say. So
Yeah.
exciting stuff coming down the pipeline, Joseph.
Great times, man. You gotta watch sports if you got anything to do and got some free time on your hands. So go check out the Jays, go check out the NFL. Basketball starts tonight. It's gonna be a beautiful time.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, what more could you ask for? We've got all the sports. This is all we've been asking for since like mid-July, June. So we're finally back. Everything's back in full swing. So how can you not be happy? It's lovely. We're going to talk about football today. Obviously, we're going to get into week 7 of NFL action here. We're going to do a preview of week 8, and we'll end the show as always with our hard balls, lock of the week, and our top 5 best balls of the week, Joseph, which I think it's pretty difficult this week,
That was
honestly.
tough.
We're getting into the point where it's a weird season where I feel like there's not a lot of teams who you can really be
Mhm.
fully confident in. So I found it very hard to figure out what was going on
Yeah, me
in
too.
with that ranking. But we'll get into that a little bit later in the show here. But last thing before we get into it here, you may notice if you're watching on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, make sure you check it out at Ball Watchers on YouTube. We got a webcam, so hopefully the quality is much improved here
Yeah.
for anyone watching on YouTube. I think it will look better. We're gonna get the decorations up here, so hopefully it'll really start to look like a studio here is the goal. So yeah, that's kind of updates from our lives here, Joseph. But
Mhm.
let's get into week 7 here, a recap of the game, starting off with your Steelers. Thursday night football. Joe Flacco is moved from the Browns to the Bengals last week, and he leads the Bengals to a little bit of an upset victory over Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, 33-31.
You know what, man? We started the podcast today on such a high note, and now we're lowering expectations, and I'm gonna get mad at my Steelers because it was just an atrocious performance by the entire Steelers, and this offense for the Steelers looks absolutely incredible. They could run the football really effectively. I think Jalen Warren had like 150 total rushing yards, which is unbelievable by him, or something crazy like that. Aaron Rodgers got the tight ends involved. He got Johnny Smith involved with a touchdown. Freiermuth with 2 touchdowns. He just looks like a man on a mission who is throwing the ball on the run. And this offense could do whatever they wanted. It's just the defense on the other side is extremely questionable. And this is where I question this team big time because A, you allowed a guy like Chase Brown to run all over you in this game, and Chase Brown has had no success in the rushing department throughout the first 6 weeks of the year. And then he comes in on his home turf and just absolutely obliterates you, especially between the A and the B gaps. I'm looking at guys like Derek Harmon, Keanu Benton, Patrick Queen to a certain extent, Cam Hayward especially, to really plug up those gaps. Those are elite players who are not playing at an elite level, which is extremely, extremely concerning to me. And then on the outside, you really invested heavily in guys like Jalen Ramsey, in guys like Darius Slay, Porter Jr. is an up and comer. All three of those guys guarded Jamar Chase, and not one of them did it successfully. This guy, yes, he had 20 targets, sure, or something crazy like that.
23.
23 is unbelievable, but you just cannot allow him to burn you at such a high rate, especially when you're having a guy like T. Higgins on the other side doing it, almost getting 100 yards in this game after having an atrocious start to his season. So, a lot of guys have been slow for the Bengals. This is not the Bengals offense that we saw last year. Accredited to Joe Burrow's injury, sure, but also because that offensive line is lacking and they just really don't have a lot of chemistry. They come in on a short week and look like a flawless offense, and we know that's not the Bengals mantra throughout 2025. I think that it's the defense's fault that we lost. It's been the defense's fault that we are having blemishes throughout the season. This is still a really good football team, but after being the highest paid defense in the entire NFL, I expect better results, and this is mediocre at best, and that's why I'm pissed off as a Steelers fan.
It's concerning. I mean, give up. I mean, this Bengals offensive line in both the pass and the run game has been absolutely terrible, and you make them look like an incredibly competent unit with Joe Flacco. I mean, I think that some of that is just Joe Mobile, but he's smart with the football. If anything, he's going to be throwing interceptions downfield. He's not going to be taking sacks. So I think that that's part of it. Is you get a veteran in there who's a little bit more calculated with the football, but it's still just like Chase Brown. I don't even know if he's had 50 yards the rest of like in any game this season. Like it's been abysmal running the football for the Bengals as a whole. And Chase Brown, like his efficiency, I think he's under 3 yards per carry on the season. Like it has been brutal, and he's over 100 yards today for the first time this season. And this Steelers offense or defense is just incapable of stopping the Bengals in any capacity on or in this game. And I mean, you put up 31 points with 2 turnovers as the Steelers offense. Like it's not, maybe the turnovers aren't great. One of those turnovers was just amazing by the defense. And I mean, you still put up 31 points on this Bengals team. If you put up 31, you should be winning these games. And I mean, you just allow them to really walk all over you in this game. And that's something that's a little bit of a concern because the Steelers' run defense has been a bit of a concern all season. We've seen teams be able to run the football against this group. And even with your guys back like Derek Harmon, who was a first round pick, like Cam Hayward, they're still not able to stop the run. So it's a bit of a concern. I mean, you didn't sack Joe Burrow, or not Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco once in this game, which I think is also a concern considering you have TJ Watt on the outside, you have Nick Herbig. Like, there's guys who get off to the quarterback here, and they were not able to in this game.
Yeah, great point because Nick Herbig has been our best edge rusher this entire year. TJ Watt's been extremely quiet. Alex Highsmith's been hurt, and it's just I don't understand how we've prided ourselves on defense and we finally have a good offense. And if we could have that defense from last year or 2 years ago, then this would be an incredible football team and one of the best in football. But the fact that we don't is just like extremely frustrating. How you have a guy, you finally have good quarterback play, consistent quarterback play, and yet you're getting nothing out of it and getting the same results. It's really tough, especially because Aaron Rodgers gave you so many opportunities to have the lead and hold that lead. And the Bengals defense, I mean, on that last drive, they should not be getting into field goal range and T. Higgins just going over the top. And that was just such an easy play for T. Higgins, and he just went down and they kicked the field goal. So it's really tough. I don't understand why the Steelers are giving up these big chunk plays and taking as little time off the clock are these offenses against the Steelers. It's just too big a splash plays, and Aaron Rodgers can only do so much. So yeah, I'm very frustrated as a Steelers fan.
Tomlin, I saw a lot of posts about Mike Tomlin after this game. People were not happy with him in the football community as a whole. I think he's like 0-7 or 2-7 in Thursday night primetime games against the NFC North or AFC North. So, like, I mean, we've seen what Tomlin can do, and it just seems like it's slowly deteriorating. It's getting downgraded every season, and like the Steelers have a decent record at this point, but it just doesn't feel like these other Steelers teams where the defense was solid, your offense is incompetent, but you can make it to the playoffs. Like it feels like a team who could really, like, even if they make the playoffs, they're a team that could be knocked off just because that defense is really bad. And the defense has been a staple of Mike Tomlin's teams for
Mhm.
years and years and years.
Yeah, I'm only excited about the Steelers because I think they'll win the division because everyone else is so bad, right? I'm not excited about the team as a whole. This is the same stuff. It's just different circumstances this year.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean this loss by or win by the Bengals, I mean it puts them only what, a game or two out of first place right now. It keeps the Ravens in the division even though they're at 2-4 right now. So it's making things very interesting because even the Browns, I feel, well, maybe have 3 teams who still possibly could win this division. I mean, I really don't think the Bengals are a team who are really going to turn it around, but like there's the Ravens, the Steelers, like it's going to be a scrap for that. I mean, for that division title, and I think whoever doesn't get it, I don't think is making the playoffs here.
Wow. Yeah, we shall see. It'll be fun.
All right, next game we're going to talk about here is the Eagles, who managed to get their deep passing game on point. Jalen Hurts has his first 300-yard passing game since September of last year. So the Eagles get it done against the Vikings. It was a bit of a close game down to the wire, but they right the ship after losing two straight.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni finally listened to me, and I don't think the run game was anything special, and maybe that's a bit of a concern. But the stat I love the most is that Saquon Barkley ran the ball 18 times,
Yeah.
and I don't think he eclipsed 3 yards a carry, or maybe he got like 3.5, something like that. Nothing crazy by him, but they're running the football more. They're not one-dimensional, and then see what happens. Like it opens up the passing game. Jalen Hurts still had like 35 plus attempts in this game, and he just had beautiful deep balls the entire game. One where the Brian Flores was stupid enough to put a linebacker on AJ Brown on a wheel route, and then he just catches his first touchdown, pitch and catch there. Devontae Smith on his explosive touchdown that went for 70 yards. Like this was just an overall great performance, and it's not like anyone else was contributing offensively. It was just Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith. That's it. I think the third highest guy with the most yards was 19 yards. So it's just a true testament to just getting those guys the football, winning that way because as long as you try to run the football and it's not working, okay, then you can go to your pass game. At least you're making the defense respect you, stack up the box against that terrific offensive line and an all-pro in Saquon Barkley. Then you can open up that deep shot that Jalen Hurts was so beautiful at. So that's the football that I want to see from the Eagles. That's what they did, and that's why they got the win.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me how much Jalen Carter makes a difference to this defense. I mean, you had no Jalen Carter last week against the Giants, and they got absolutely destroyed on the ground through the air. And then this week, with Jalen Carter in the game, you have two turnovers. Your defense makes plays when it needs to, and it just looks solid again. Like it is insane how much of an impact he has as an interior guy. He's just so critical to what this Eagles defense does. I mean, even on that interception that Campbell throw, Campbell got, you just see Carter putting the pressure on Carson Wentz, who throws that ball very inaccurately, and Campbell comes up with the interception. And I think that that's something that we didn't see last week or the week before against the Broncos. And I mean, it's a little bit of a concern, in my opinion, just because if Jalen Carter misses any significant time down the stretch, this Eagles team could look very different. But the offense looks a bit better. I just want to see them. We haven't seen this Eagles team, which at 5-2, the fact that they haven't done this is impressive, but we haven't seen them put it all together here. And I think that that is a big concern at this point because, or not a big concern, but something that we need to see going forward because like their run game has been atrocious all year. And yes, in the ball with Saquon today, or that on Sunday, but I don't think he had. I think he had 40 rushing yards or something. It was very inefficient. Teams are selling out to stop the run for sure, but like the fact that Saquon has like under 3 yards a carry or 3 yards a carry on the season is really bad, and we just need to see them be able to consistently run the football down the stretch because like you saw Jalen Hurts be able to put the ball on the money and they were able to like make things happen through the air. But like at the end of the day, their identity is running the football. And when it gets to the playoffs, when it's that nitty gritty football, you need to be able to run the ball. And we just haven't seen that from the Eagles, which is surprising considering Saquon is possibly the best running back in the league right now. So we need to see the prize because AJ Brown's still pissed off, man. Like at once. It's like it's ridiculous.
You think him and Devontae Smith are beefing? Because Devontae got a lot more targets than AJ in this game. And I know AJ got an extra touchdown, but it's just weird to me, the dynamics of them. And I don't know who the number one is anymore at this point.
AJ Brown, the Eagles when they paid Devontae Smith, they had to give AJ Brown a pay raise because they didn't want him to make or like he didn't want to make less than Devontae Smith, but they gave him a pay raise so that he was still making more than Devontae Smith after
Yeah.
his extension. Like he seems like such a crybaby, and I mean he was posting on Instagram. I don't even remember what the caption was, but it was something whiny, and it's like, brother, you got a touchdown in this game, like you were impactful. You're 5-2. Like I don't understand what this guy wants. Like it's a little ridiculous in my opinion. And I honestly think like they can do it without him.
Yeah,
And like
facts.
you have Goddard, you have Devonta Smith here. Like I don't think that AJ Brown is an absolute necessity to this Eagles offense. And if they want to get rid of him, they can. And I think that like I mean, he's gonna be pissed off wherever he goes because he's gonna be realize, oh shit, like other teams don't win like the Eagles do. And even if like it's a little ridiculous in my opinion. He should definitely be a bit more of a team player here. And like you won the game and you had pretty solid individual stats. Like I don't know what more you want
Yeah,
if you're AJ
exactly.
Brown.
I agree. I think Devontae Smith should be the number one. You trade AJ Brown away, you get like a second or a third round pick for him. You take a wide receiver with that pick, and it's pretty simple because Devontae Smith, I mean, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. Like we all expected him to be a top five wide receiver at this point in his career, and I feel like he could have been if AJ Brown wasn't there in the building. And that's not any shade against anyone. It's just AJ Brown was getting more targets up until this point, but we're seeing the true form of Devontae Smith, and I don't think AJ Brown likes that. And I mean, if you can run the ball effectively like the Eagles can, it doesn't matter if there's only one of those guys on the field. They're gonna get one-on-one touches because the defense is stacking the box up. So I'd like to see Devontae Smith in that true wide receiver one role and see what happens. But I want to quickly touch on the Vikings before we move on. I really want to see more of JJ McCarthy. I don't know what's going on with the injury.
He's not playing this week.
Yeah, so I don't understand that. I don't know what's going on with him. I thought this was just like he was going to be out and then they were going to go on to the bye and then we're going to see more of JJ, but I want to see more of him. I don't want to see Carson Wentz. Like I didn't want to see I guess Sam Darnold was there because JJ was hurt the entire year, but I want to see a future. I don't want to see a washed up Carson Wentz. He took way too many shots deep down the field. He was more so of a gunslinger. He was making some boneheaded decisions, and he was targeting Jordan Addison more in this game than Justin Jefferson. I think Jordan Addison had 9 targets for like 120 yards, and Jetta's only had like 70 yards and 5 catches. I want to see your number one quarterback with your number one wide receiver. Were really good at running the football. I just want to see, more check down plays for JJ. I want to see the development and the growth of a young quarterback because you are right there. You are right on the cusp. You are not going to hit that ceiling with Carson Wentz. There is a chance you hit it with JJ McCarthy, and maybe he's a total bust. But at this point, JJ McCarthy is the biggest mystery because he hasn't played enough football. So I'd like to see him play more football and get you to that elevated point of being a true juggernaut team. It might not happen, but it also might. I don't want to see what I already have. What can you get me in the future? And I want to see more JJ McCarthy.
Exactly. You know what Carson Wentz is, and he's a guy who, I mean, he can make some really spectacular plays, but he's also a guy who's pretty inaccurate with the football. He throws some pretty bad interceptions. And yeah, I like what you said. I mean, I don't like, we haven't seen JJ McCarthy be like the savior, kind of that next guy up and coming yet. But at the same time, you have Kevin O'Connell there for a reason. You want JJ McCarthy on the field if you can. And it's just like this ankle injury has been lingering for weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, he got injured in what, week two?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't seen him since. And it's just like Carson Wentz is clearly not like a sustainable guy. Like it's not like you have Mac Jones or whatever in San Francisco where you're still winning football games. Like Vikings aren't really winning football. Carson Wentz in there, and I mean this JJ McCarthy injury just they haven't been very transparent about what's happening. They're just saying he's not ready to go, and they keep keeping him out of these games. So you don't really know what's happening there, but it's definitely time to see JJ McCarthy because Carson Wentz clearly is not the answer. He's not playing any better than JJ McCarthy is, so you might as well put McCarthy in. And I mean, going with Justin Jefferson, I mean, he just hasn't gotten the targets all year. It's really strange to see. I mean, especially in a week where we saw Jamar Chase have 23 targets, or touchdown, 160 yards. Like Justin Jefferson should be getting that too. Like that's a guy who is completely defense proof, like double coverage, single coverage, whatever it is, he'll be open at some point. And I feel like it's just strange that like you're just not seeing him being targeted. Like it's one of those things where like you can rely on Justin Jefferson for so much, and we're just not seeing that this year, which is really weird.
Yeah, very weird.
All right, next game here, the Bears in the showdown of former Oklahoma quarterbacks in Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler. Caleb Williams comes out on top. The Bears are an impressive 4-2 under Ben Johnson right now, Joseph.
We'll see, man. I don't know. I'm not buying into it. They were 4-2 last year, and then I think they were like 5-12 to end the season after their bye week. I don't understand it. I'm liking the fact that they can really run the football. And DeAndre Swift, I underestimated you in the offseason. For that, I apologize, and I was wrong about that. He can run through the A and B gaps, and that's where the strength of this offensive line is. He is a bruiser running back. He's getting 10 to 12 yards a carry. He's getting 5 yards before he's even getting touched. So that is a true testament to the offensive line. And then he's just bulldozing guys. He is a man on a mission. I always liked DeAndre Swift. I felt like he didn't get a fair shot in Detroit. He had a really underrated year when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles for that one year. I just like DeAndre Swift. He's a good running back. But other than that, I'm not really satisfied with the Bears offense, honestly. It's a lot of checkdowns. Caleb Williams is still making some dumb mistakes. 3rd and 17, he's trying to fit the ball to Romo Dunze. He throws a bad interception to Alontae Taylor there, and it's like I don't really know. Like the tackles are still pretty weak on this team. The interior offensive line is great, but we expected that. And then the defense just kind of looks lethargic out there. Yes, they got some big turnovers and they shut down Alvin Kamara, but Chris Olave really went off in this game, and they are susceptible to those splash plays. So I'm seeing a lot of the same. You can minimize Caleb Williams' mistakes by running the football, and Ben Johnson has done a terrific job of that. But when it really comes down to crunch time and you're going up against more NFC North and NFC opponents that are more formidable than the Saints, than the Cowboys, or a team like the Raiders, they've had a very easy schedule up to this point, then I'll start to see more. But until that, when it comes down to crunch time and Caleb Williams has to be the guy, I still don't think he's there. I don't see the development of Caleb. I see the development of this run game, and that's an improvement from last year. But other than that, I think it's more of the same for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and at the same time, not vindicated at all because like the Bears have a good record. They're a team who had one of the toughest schedules in the league, and I mean they've made the most out of it so far. But at the same time, like Caleb Williams is not the reason they are winning these games. Like you said, that run game is working hardcore. I think their defense is also a few weeks, especially they're putting up their side of the ball, and I think that like you haven't seen it from Caleb Williams. I mean, even in this game, he didn't even have 200 yards passing. Like he is not. It's not like Caleb Williams is leading the charge with this offense, and that's a little bit of a concern. I mean, I'm very happy. Like I feel like I was at least right about Ben Johnson. I think he's changed this Bears more efficient, effective offensively. He's brought that culture from the Detroit that you want to see, where these guys are putting in their best efforts defensively, offensively, but you're just not seeing it from Caleb Williams here. He's just still a guy who is stuck in bad habits, I think, in a lot of ways. He's a guy who holds on to the ball forever and then still doesn't end up making accurate throws. And I think that like the biggest thing for him is just increasing that accuracy because like yes, the pocket collapses at times, but I feel like there's been a ton of times with Williams this season where that pocket has been fully clean and he's just missing guys down the field. And I think that like if he can't fix those accuracy issues, that's a big problem going forward. And I mean, Ben Johnson, I think that like, especially because this is a guy who he didn't choose Caleb Williams as his quarterback. He definitely, I feel like, will have a shorter leash with a guy like Caleb Williams. I mean, he came into the league with so much hype, and it's going to be hard to give up on him early. And I'm not at the point where I think you should give up on him early, but I think that leash is going to get shorter throughout this season. And I think that especially going into next season, I think that might at this point be his last shot. And it's early this year to say that things could turn around because I mean, you saw the Bears run game be absolutely nothing in the first couple weeks, and you've seen where it's gone to under Ben Johnson. So maybe it just is taking a bit more time for him to install that system in the passing game. But I mean, with what Jared Goff was able to do in Detroit and is doing in Detroit still, like you need like your quarterback to hit that next level. And I think that Ben Johnson and that Bears organization is not going to be patient with Caleb Williams, especially after this season.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they're also settling for way too many field goals. Like their red zone packages are brutal. And not one wide receiver is taking over. We thought this was
No.
the year of Romo Dunze and DJ Moore's Mr. Consistent and Colson Loveland was going to be a beast. And all three of those guys and company have been underperforming extremely. So I don't know what to feel about the Bears. They've went up, like I said, against really easy competition. They've gone up against the Cowboys, who have a terrible defense, the Commanders, who have a bad defense, and just handed that game to them, the Raiders and the Saints. And I mean, when they're going up against teams like they still have to play the Packers twice, they have to play the Lions again, they have to play teams like the Steelers and the Ravens this week, like the 49ers they have to play on the second last game of the year. So yeah, it's gonna be a very tough schedule after this, and I you need your quarterback. As much as the run game's good, as soon as they shut that down, what are you gonna do? And I just don't think that Caleb Williams can adjust. And it's gonna be a really interesting storyline come next year because, like you said, that leash is gonna be either extremely short or there won't be a leash, and they'll cut it off completely and they'll look for someone new because Ben Johnson around, and I think Caleb is playing with fire at this point.
Right. You want to say like I don't think Caleb Williams is necessarily having like bad stats this season. It's just like he's not a guy. He's still like one of the things with him is yes, he's been super inaccurate, but generally he's not a guy who turns the ball over a ton. Like he still only has 3 interceptions this season. And I do think that will give him a bit more of a leash just because it's not a guy who's necessarily actively contributing to your team losing. We just haven't seen him up until this point this season be the reason the Bears are winning these games. And I think that, like, I agree still. I think that if he's not contributing to winning these games, like, he's not going to be like Ben Johnson's guy. He's not going to have Ben Johnson's confidence. And as a, like, he didn't draft, like, the GM who's still there, Ryan Poles, I believe, did draft Caleb Williams, but Ben Johnson might overrule that and just say, no, like, he is not my guy. And, like, this seems like a spot where, like, a prime spot for one of these veteran quarterbacks to come in next season and potentially like lead the way here. Or maybe not next season, but in the next couple seasons here, because like I think that you can say that the Ben Johnson being the head coach is working, but Caleb Williams is not necessarily a huge factor contributing to their success so far.
Yeah.
Maybe we're a bit too harsh so far this season. There's only 6 games in.
Sure.
We need to see something from Caleb Williams is really what we're saying at this
Yeah.
point. All right, next up here, the Denver Broncos. They score 33 points in the fourth quarter to beat the Giants. It was 19-0 going into the fourth quarter for the Giants, Joseph, and the Broncos, Bo Nix, Sean Payton somehow find a way to come back in this game.
Man, this team, both these teams to me are kind of brutal, especially in the first half. The Broncos couldn't get
Yeah,
anything going. Bo Nix was extremely inaccurate with the football. They couldn't run the game throughout this entirety of the game. And then Jackson Dart played a pretty good game. Like he was mobile in the pocket, he was getting throws on the run. But then in that fourth quarter, everything just fell apart. Like they couldn't establish a run deep in the clock. I mean, Tyron Tracy had a big run for a touchdown in this game. Didn't get involved enough. Cam Scatterbo was putting his shoulder down in the first half. Didn't get involved in the second half. And then it just forced Jackson Dart to be like, okay, make a throw. And then when it tensed up, he really started to miss his throws. Like on that 3rd and 5, where he has more time to kill, he misses Wandell Robinson on that wide open route even before he throws that interception on the next drive. So it's really tough to see. Everything that we said last week about Jackson Dart to me is coming to fruition.
yeah.
He's loose when there's no pressure. I mean, they have a 19-point lead. He's moving around in the pocket. Everything looks great. But as soon as the pressure was hitting Jackson Dart and he couldn't maneuver that pocket anymore, he had to make a quick throw and an accurate throw. He missed every single time. And so this is no longer backyard football. These are crunch time moments that you have to execute perfect precision throws, and he just crumbled under the pressure. Now, this isn't entirely on Jackson Dart. The kicker missed an extra point that would have made this game tied. The defense put them in field goal range with 20 seconds left in the game. They allowed Bo Nix to use his legs efficiently, and they got back-to-back 2-point conversions on both drives. It's an accumulation of things, but Jackson Dart is the quarterback. He has to take the responsibility. He took it in the post-game interview, which I like to see from a young quarterback. But at the same time, like you cannot just rely on your legs and your athleticism. It has to be IQ. He didn't show that IQ, and to me, that's a big reason, not the whole reason, but a big reason why they lost this game.
I was very happy with this. We're not big fans of this Giants team, and I mean it was lovely to see this collapse, in my opinion, as a bit of a Giants hater. But I want to give some credit to the Broncos here. I mean, you still, yes, you look terrible for large portions of this game, but you still put up 33 points in the fourth quarter. Like that is, and you found a way to win this game. Like they have found ways to win these games. They did the same thing against the Eagles. Like they do deserve some credit for the fact that they are able to just show up at the right moment. We need to see a lot more in the first three quarters of games if you really want to believe in this Broncos team. But I just feel like they're always in a spot to win here. I mean, both of their losses were super close losses. I mean, the Colts beat them at the buzzer on a field goal, and then the Chargers, same thing, last minute drive to win the game. Like they're in every single game this season. So I do want to give them credit for that. They need to be a bit more consistent offensively because this passing game just is not in rhythm. You do not see guys like Cortland Sutton. He made some plays late, but Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton are not consistently on the same page, and you're just not seeing anyone else really contribute to this offense. I mean, even Evan Ingram's a guy who's not really getting involved, who are both excited about coming over. So I think you need to see a bit more rhythm, a bit more consistency with that offense. But I just want to talk about the Giants for a second. I hated what they did at the end of this game. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. It's a Brian Dable thing, in my opinion. That was some of just like the most like anti-football, like absolutely ridiculous, stupid football I've seen. Where he was just like, "All right, Jackson Dart, just throw the ball as high up in the air as you can, so we make
Yeah.
that bails us out." Like they were not playing football. They literally were just sitting there, and then Jackson Dart was throwing it up. Receivers were coming to full stops, and DBs had to get their head around, and they lucked out and got a pass interference call. But if you ask me, that's absolute bullshit. That's not football. And I'm glad they lost because that was ridiculous strategy by Brian Daboll. That's not in the spirit of the game at all. He was basically saying, "We don't trust you at all, Jackson Dart. And the only way we're winning this game is if we get lucky with a pass interference call." And that's ridiculous.
Even before that play, though, like Wan'Dale Robinson does not get a first down on that 4th and 19. Like he is a yard short, and the fact that they like said, "Oh, it's a first down," and like they reviewed it in the video booth, like I still do not understand how that is a first down. And then obviously the pass interference call, it is BS. Like you should not rely on the refs to get through with it
But they
because.
ran that play like three times in a
Mhm,
row. They were just deep down the sideline, one-on-one coverage, and hoping that because like even the play before that down the sideline wasn't a pass interference, but it's that same just like sky ball receiver comes to a full stop and you're
mhm.
hoping for a pass interference call. Like it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it is very ridiculous, especially with the fact that you have like a minute left. You have to make a solid drive. And like, yes, you need a touchdown and you want to get as close as possible in that situation. But like, damn, dude, like work the clock. Make sure that you have a quarterback that you can rely on in 2-minute drills. You can't rely on the refs in that situation. So I agree with you there.
Exactly. Karma's a bitch, is all I'm saying. But two more games here. Sunday Night Football. The 49ers, who missing Fred Warner on that defense, Nick Bosa, they find a way to win against the Falcons, who were going into this game as the number one defense in the league.
Yeah, man. You know what? Give more credit to Robert Saleh. He wasn't the problem in New York. I don't even think Aaron Glenn's the problem in New
Well, I
York.
feel like Robert Saleh makes, it's hard to say. Every
It's
coach
tough.
has the same thing.
You know what I mean? Like the defense for the Jets was so good, and
Yeah,
then you have to deal with Nathaniel Hackett and coordinator, and then Saleh gets fired, and then they bring in another defensive guy. It makes no sense. But anyways, Robert Saleh is a beast, man. Like they shut down Bijan Robinson in the run game. Yes, he got a little bit involved in the passing attack, but in the run game, they shut him down without Fred Warner, and they got pressure on Michael Penix with only four. They completely shut down Drake London in this game. I think Kyle Pitts was the number one receiver, number two behind Mooney. They just shut down everything defensively. And then offensively, complete Christian McCaffrey show. He was that entire offense. George Kittle was back in this game, but he didn't look like himself. He only got, I think, only a couple targets in this game. They didn't have any of their wide receivers either, so it was just all on McCaffrey, and he took the reins and he just went for it. And he just completely outshined Bijan. We said in the preview last week that this was going to be a battle of the running backs. Who was going to have the better game was going to win for their team, and McCaffrey did exactly that. So I like the 49ers defense. I like Salah. I think he's an incredible, incredible defensive coordinator. They puts these guys in situations, and Mac Jones didn't have a great game, but he didn't need to because McCaffrey's their only source of offense. And if they can take McCaffrey away, which to me he's been the
no
best
team
running
can.
back, exactly, he's been the best running back in football, and they need to rely on Mac Jones. I think he showed you that in the past with that Thursday Night Football win over the Los Angeles Rams 2 weeks ago. So I'm liking this team a lot, and I don't care how depleted they are. They are a very scary team. They have the rushing attack, they have the defense, and that is the blueprint for playoff football.
Yeah, this might be the best coaching season we've ever seen out of Kyle Shanahan. Like he is getting the absolute most out of guys on both sides of the football here, and I think that that's something. that you couldn't really say about Kyle Shanahan in the past because they have absolutely crumbled this team when they've had injuries in the past. I mean, you've missed seasons with Nick Bosa, George Kittle in the past, and they just have not been able to make the playoffs. But you're seeing them actually be aggressive. They're winning games against solid teams. They beat the Rams. They beat the Falcons here. Like they are a team who's actually in like the playoff race here, and they're missing so many key figures right now. So that is really impressive for me. And the Falcons, I mean, it's just Penix is not doing what you need him to do. You need him to be able to get the football to these guys. You need your run game. I mean, Bijan takes a lot of the pressure off Penix, and we saw it tonight when Robinson was kind of shut down. The Penix just wasn't able to step up to the plate here and make the play they needed him to at the end of this game. I mean, there's a really tough drop by London when they were driving down the field in the fourth quarter there that I really like. Penix puts that right on the money through the defender's hands and it bounces off London's chest, and that's just a rough play. But overall, I just thought that Penix, he missed some throws deep down the field that would have set the Falcons up in really good position to come back in this. The pressure was just getting to him. He couldn't get rid of, or he couldn't get the football where it needed to go before he was sacked when they needed him to. And last thing, I think like McCaffrey's having one of the weirdest and or running back seasons you've ever seen. He has more receiving yards than rushing yards. He's averaging like 3.5 yards per carry on the ground and like 9.7 yards per reception. Like he's almost at 1,000 total yards. Like it is one of the weirdest seasons I've seen from a running back.
Yeah, he's a unicorn and he's up there for Offensive Player of the Year. I think a couple wide receivers are ahead of him, but he is in that conversation, especially how much he means to that team. He's their entire offense. But yeah, the Falcons are weird. I think Michael Penix just has to ask himself who he is as a quarterback. Like, what is my style? I don't even know what style Penix is. If he wants to be a gunslinger, he has to be more accurate with that deep ball and he has to take more risks. And if he wants to be a check down merchant, then and a system quarterback, then do that. Just play action off of it, hit Kyle Pitts under the middle, quick throws that you're not in these situations where these defensive ends can get to you. Choose one or the other. I would like to see him be more of a gunslinger and take more risks because he has that crazy arm, but he has to pick one because Bijan cannot be your only source. As we saw in this game, when it's taken away, what the hell are you going to do? Your wide receiver one wasn't utilized, and they don't have an elite corner on the other side. And there was just nowhere to go with the football because you held the ball too long. These guys were not running their routes properly, and you took sacks because of it. So Michael Penix really has to ask himself, why is this inconsistency on a week-to-week basis always happening? And who am I as a quarterback? Stick to that identity and just go with it, dude, because you need it. Your team needs it. And as much as Bijan is the best player on this football team, Michael Penix is the quarterback, and he has to prove in with big time throws that he is the guy and what makes them an elite team.
Yeah, I like that a lot, Joseph. I think it's one of those things where, like in college, the biggest area that he had success was deep down the field along the sideline. I mean, you saw what Romo Dunze was able to do with him at Washington, and we just really haven't seen that be a part of his game at all. And I mean, like, why are you not like Drake London's a possession receiver, yes, but like he's the exact kind of build as Roma Dunze. Why are you not sending him deep down the field? You have a speedy guy like Mooney. You're not sending him deep down the field. They just don't take a lot of deep shots. And I think that that is a way you can get Penix more confident is just hitting some of those balls deep down the field, some explosive plays, because the only explosive plays we've seen from this Falcons offense is Bijan Robinson taking a screen 60 yards down the field. Like it's not you're not seeing these like deep ball, like 35 air yard kind of passes down the field or anything like that. And I think that's something they need to incorporate. They need to get a bit more aggressive because they do not play a very aggressive style of offense right now. And I think that like their defense has very inflated numbers, in my opinion. I do not think that they're necessarily at that level, but at the same time, their defense made plays in this game to give them opportunities. I mean, you got an interception in that first half, and you didn't even get, you got 0 points out of that turnover. So they need to, yeah, they just need to be a bit more aggressive as an offense, I think. And you're right, just be a bit more consistent game to game.
Yeah.
All right. And last game we're going to talk about here, the Buccaneers. We thought they were going to win this game. We thought they were going to be riding high, but the Lions come out of nowhere with one of the most depleted secondaries you've ever seen and just
That's
shut the
wild.
Bucks down.
Yeah, man. Rock Singh, bro. That guy had a game. I mean, before Mike Evans went down with the injury, to push him out of bounds twice and to just completely lock up their number one wide receiver. good for him. I still thought he was on the Colts, but I mean,
I
good
don't think
for
he's been
him.
on the Colts in a
Yeah, man. I haven't even heard his name in a while, so he was incredible in this game, especially with Brian Branch serving his 1 game suspension this week. It was just an incredible feat. Shepard, the defensive coordinator, he's going to get some head coach calls again. I think he's just getting the best out of this unit,
I
and
love that too. He's just so high energy.
yeah, he's great, and he fits that Dan Campbell culture so well. So a lot of teams will be looking at him for a head coach position for sure as a culture setter and a defensive guy. But I mean, they didn't get a lot of pressure off Baker. Baker had a ton of time. It's just they did not give him the deep ball, and that's where Baker made his bread and butter throughout the first 6 weeks of the season and leading up to week 7. He just got that completely taken away. He tried to do the best with the checkdowns that he was given, but they were just, it's a great tackling job by the secondary. They had no yards after the catch. Emeka Egbuka, I was shocked that he played in this game, but he was just completely shut off in this game. Tez Johnson was probably their best wide receiver, and that's like their fourth or fifth option at this point. So
Second option now,
second
Joseph.
option now. But yeah, it was a great game for the Detroit Lions defense. Offensively, they look good. I have a couple of concerns. I think they're too reliant on Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I think that's what bit them in the ass last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. They completely shut down Amon-Ra in that game. They completely shut down Gibbs in the run game, and they lost that football game. Jahmyr Gibbs had an incredible game. He was so fast. That 78-yard touchdown is an incredible speed job. Just sprinting Antoine Whitfield Jr., just leaving him in the dust and just giving him no chance in that secondary. But there were a couple turnovers by Goff that I didn't like. That fumble and then that interception by Jamel Dean was a little boneheaded move by Jared Goff. But I mean, Sam Laporta and Jameson Williams were not involved in this game at all, and they put up 30 points. So that tells, and even David Montgomery was not involved in this game. So that tells me that they're reliant on two players. Now they are probably the best, if not one of the best, at their respective positions in Gibbs and St. Brown. But at the same time, if you take those two things away, I don't think their secondary pieces can really keep up with the 30-point style offense that Dan Campbell expects out of this offense. So the defense looked great and the offense looked great too. I'm not saying that they didn't. It's just I need to see those secondary guys take on more of a leadership role in the offense for when it happens, like St. Brown and Gibbs are taking out like it did with the Chiefs. What's going to happen? Because the Bucks have a terrible defense. So what happens when you go up against a good defense and they take away your number one and number two options? What are you going to do? So that's the big question mark I have with the Lions.
Yeah, I think with this team, I mean, you have the guys, in my opinion. Like Laporta's put up numbers before. We know Jamison Williams is a guy who can hit these long home run shots, and we're just not seeing them be used. And they didn't necessarily need to use them in this game, but they need to be more involved in this offense because, like what you're saying, they need to spread that ball out a bit more if better defenses are able to shut down some of those guys. And this defense needs to get healthy, man. It is insane. And today, especially like all these like second string, third string defensive backs playing their asses off and getting the win. And that's what I love about this team. I mean, that Ravens game a few weeks ago too, same thing. Like you just saw huge effort from that Lions defense. And I think that you saw that again in this game and they get the win. But I mean, I'm happy with this win for the Lions because I was saying before or in last week's episode, we need to see them beat a good team. And we finally saw them beat a good team. So I'm a bit higher on the Lions than I was before, but they need to get healthy because yes, you get Branch back, but you're still missing your top two corners. And I mean, as a Seahawks fan, I was listening to this broadcast at one point and they were saying Trey Flowers is warming up on the sidelines. And I was like, dear God, that is not a position that any team wants to be in. Like they just could not get a break. I mean, even their second string guys are getting injured in this game, so they really need to get healthy. I really hope they can get healthy because I think this defense is a lot better than it was last year, and they can be a top 15, top 10 unit down the stretch here if they can get back to being healthy. So I think the Lions are on the upward trajectory here. I mean, their like point differential I think is like 68 points or something. So they feel like a legit team to me. And then it was a bit of a wake up call maybe for us as Bucks supporters, is they definitely have some holes in that Mike Evans injury, excuse me, is really rough. I mean, I really don't think he's going to play again this season. And if he does, it'll be like playoff time essentially. And I think they're obviously going to make the playoffs, especially just because of the division they play in. But like they're running out of weapons. Godwin, I mean, I think most people expected this, but Godwin is not looking like he did before that injury last season. And then Egbuka was hobbled in this game, and you just had nowhere to go with the football. I mean, Kate Otten is definitely an outlet, but Detroit has really good linebackers. They're really good at tackling, and they just weren't able to get many big plays in this game. And I mean, you're missing Bucky Irving as well. They just don't have the guys right now offensively, and it's just slowly falling apart here. And I'm concerned about that because I mean, the part of it is the Bucks have found ways to win in super tight games all season, but they have a point differential of -1 right now. Like they are not a team who's boat raced any of their opponents at this point. And I think that maybe I don't know. I ranked them number one last week, and I still love this team, but like it's a bit of a wake up call where they definitely have some things that they need to figure out because like they're not a team who's pulling away from anyone.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not really that nervous about the Buccaneers. I think they went up against a good team in the Lions and they lost against a formidable opponent. But at the same time, like I've seen Baker Mayfield, go through these trials and tribulations of, oh, there's injuries happening and stuff like that, and he still makes it work. I still think Egbuka's gonna get right. I think as his year have him as a true number one wide receiver, and then Tez Johnson's taking the top
He
off of
looks
the
good.
defense. Yeah, he looks really, really good. So they have weapons and they can make do with it. And I think Rashad White is an incredible rusher of the football. And I think him and once Bucky Irving comes back, if he comes back this season, that's going to be a great 1-2 punch for them. And the defense is like, they're still creating a ton of turnovers. They're not the best defense in the world. We knew that going into this year. And they just create turnovers for their offense, gives them short fields. So I trust Baker. I trust this team. I trust that offensive line still. I just think that well coached defense. And Baker wasn't making stupid mistakes. Like he was understanding that they're only giving me the check down, take the check down. And they just weren't winning. They weren't breaking tackles and they weren't getting any yak yards. So I think when you go up against different defenses, especially in this division, it's going to be a completely different story. And I think the Buccaneers are going to get right back on track because outside of the Lions in the NFC, maybe the Eagles, who you lost to earlier in the year, there's really no one that the Buccaneers are going, yeah, this is a better team than us. So they can win a playoff game for sure. They can win maybe two if they have the schedule lined up properly. But this is a team that I think will exceed expectations this year.
Oh yeah, I still think they're great. They're still one of my favorite teams to watch right now, but I think I'm just saying maybe need to pump the brakes a little bit because there are definitely some concerns popping up here. But that's kind of the deal with every team. I feel like there's a lot of teams that you could argue are super complete. So I mean, it just kind of is what it is, and we'll see. It makes it exciting that there's not really anyone you can fully rely on here. But we're gonna keep chugging along here to our Week 8 preview, starting off with Thursday Night Football. Joseph, the Vikings versus the Chargers.
I'm taking the Chargers. Carson Wentz is going to play again in this game, and I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to find a way for his defense to create a ton of turnovers and give Justin Herbert short fields to work with. He got right back in this game against the Indianapolis Colts, even though they lost the game. This was still a really good game by Justin Herbert. And he's saying, you know what, we don't really have a run game, so put it all on my shoulders. And he's going to utilize that passing attack and really kill that secondary that was exposed last week from the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm taking the Chargers in this game. I really like them. I like their chances on a short week. I think that they're going to be more prepared coaching wise than the Minnesota Vikings, and that's why I'm taking the Chargers.
Yeah, I've got the Chargers as well in this one. I think that Justin Herbert's still playing at that elite level. I mean, you got a guy, a tight end coming out of nowhere, Oriande Gadsden or something. Like I literally have never heard of him. Puts up like 160 receiving yards last week. Like Justin Herbert's just on another level right now, I think. And they're not it's not that has so much more to do with the offensive line being injured. I mean, you're missing your top two running backs right now. And I mean, there's injuries across that defense too. Like they are just so hobbled right now. I mean, we've said that about a bunch of teams today, which is kind of sad, but you're seeing the Chargers go through it a bit, but you just haven't seen anything from the Vikings that really can reassure you, especially offensively. Like I think that the Chargers are going to be able to, like you said, get some turnovers from this Carson Wentz led offense, and I think that's going to be the difference in this game. I do think, however, though, because of how bad that Chargers offensive line is, that there's a chance that the Vikings just overwhelm him. This could be an incredibly low scoring game where both teams just can't move the football because, I mean, on one side you have Carson Wentz and the other side you have Justin Herbert running for his life every single play. But the Chargers, I think, are still the better team, and Justin Herbert playing the way he has been is going to find a way to win. All right, next game here, you've got the versus the Texans.
Give me the 49ers. The Texans look awful in this
Yeah,
game. I mean, Seattle turned the ball over 4 times, and yet they still lost in this football
and
game.
the Texans.
Yeah, it's wild, man. This offense is so dysfunctional. I think Salah is licking his lips right now going up against CJ Stroud and Nico Collins. Those are the only two sources of offense for the Texans, and once you shut at least one of those guys down, it's a complete done deal. So give me the 49ers. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to find a way to run against this great Texans defense. But this is going to be a slugfest, and I don't think that the Texans will score double-digit points in this game because I think the 49ers defense is that good and the Texans offense is just that bad.
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter. I mean, we were joking last night watching the game. It's like as long as you score 16 points, you against the Texans, and that's exactly like the 49ers are going to be able to do that. Like McCaffrey's going to get his in this game, and if Mac Jones can just make a couple key throws in this game, like I think that they're going to be able to get the win. Like George Kittle on these linebackers, I think is an advantage as well. Like the less you target Derek Stingley in this game, the better. Like yes, he got worked by JSN last night, but at the same time, you do not have a receiver like JSN on this 49ers team. So stay away from Stingley, target McCaffrey, target Kittle, and I think you get the win because it doesn't matter how many times the Texans get the ball. Like they are just absolutely abysmal offensively. That offensive line is terrible. Their run game is horrendous. Stroud just like outside of Collins, there's nowhere for Stroud to go with the football, and it just like it's an absolute dumpster fire. And this 49ers defense is looking solid. Like they're not going to give Stroud the time of day, and I think that like this is going to be a pretty easy win for the 49ers. All right, next here, the rematch, Giants versus Eagles, Joseph.
I'm taking the Eagles pretty comfortably. The Giants just do not look that good, and they are going into Philadelphia, and that is going to be a scary sight for Jackson Dart. I think he's
Someone's
going to
gonna
make.
like throw a shoe or something at
Oh,
Jackson
yeah.
Dart. Something's gonna happen. These fans are insane.
Yeah, they're wild. And so I think Jackson Dart is really going to want to step up in the pocket and just maneuver around. But now that Jalen Carter is in this game, I think that he's going to get pressure up the middle, which I think the Giants' offensive line is very susceptible in, and just not allow Jackson Dart to step up. And when Jackson Dart steps up, he doesn't just roll out to the C gaps. He steps up into the A and B gaps, takes like 2 extra steps, and then he throws a football. That is not a recipe for success against this Vic Fangio defense, especially with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter up the middle. And I think offensively that Saquon is going to get right in this game. I think he's going to, bounce back and just go up against his old team and be like, screw you. So I'm taking the Eagles. It's going to be a blowout.
Safe on the ball in this game, seriously. But I've got the Eagles too. I mean, there's just no way they let the Giants beat them twice this season. Like the Giants are 2-5 right now. They're not a good football team. They find a way to lose, and the Eagles are a pretty solid football team. They're a good football team. They're going to find a way to win in this game. And yeah, I agree. They're just like, especially that defense. That defense probably is so embarrassed about what happened a couple weeks ago. Like they are going to be playing with their hair on fire. I think they're going to just torment Jackson. Darnold's going to be working, and they're going to be able to get the win here because I think we're going to see some balance from this Eagles offense, and we're just going to see the Eagles defense just playing at the highest level because they are not going to let themselves get 34 points hung on them again. All right, next up here, Bears versus Ravens.
I'm taking the Ravens in this game. Lamar should be back in this game. I hope he's back after the bye. And I think he's just so mad at why they are 1-5. I think it's unacceptable by his standards. A lot of people are asking for John Harbaugh's job, and I like the Ravens as an underdog in this game. I think they have a lot to prove. I think Derrick Henry's going to go off. And I think this might be an offensive shootout because the Ravens defense is so bad, but I think Lamar is going to win every single time compared to Caleb Williams. I think he has something to prove, and this might be a 40 burger by the Ravens and what they put up. And I think the Ravens defense will at least come up with one turnover to really turn this game around and really shift the momentum the Ravens' way. So I'm taking the Ravens at home, and they should win this game.
Yeah, I think the Ravens too. I mean, this is just absolute desperation. Like Lamar's back, he's angry, and they need to win this game. I mean, they're still like we were talking about before. They're still in the race for the division, but they have to go on a pretty aggressive winning streak here, and they cannot come out of the bye, come out flat and lose this game to the Bears because that's almost basically the season for them at this point. So I've got them as well in this game because they just need this game. The Bears, they're feeling good. They're sitting at 4-2. They're looking pretty. They're ahead of schedule, compared to what we expected from this team. So they're just not going to be playing the same like as hard as the Ravens in this game. And the Ravens, they just need this game. They have to win this game. And I think they're going to because like they're still in this and I still think they're a good team. Like I know we haven't really seen that from them at this point, and maybe it's just like their like pedigree and legacy the last couple seasons, but I still think they're a good team. They're gonna figure it out, and I think that like this is game one of that.
Yeah.
All right, next up here, Cowboys Broncos, Joseph.
I'm taking the Cowboys in this game, and that might be an underdog take, but at the same time, I genuinely believe that Dallas has one of, if not the best offenses in the entire NFL. They can run the football at a really high rate. They got back CeeDee Lamb, so they have the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver with the way George Pickens has been playing in CeeDee Lamb's absence. They have an elite tight end who's had a phenomenal year this year, and they have an MVP caliber quarterback with a great offensive line. I mean, what more can you ask for? And yes, you're going up against the Broncos defense, but they just have not looked good or up to their standards of good throughout the entirety of this season up to this point. And because of that, I think that the Cowboys will get into a shootout with the Broncos, and I just don't trust this Broncos offense to keep up with an offense like Dallas. I think Bo Nix is inconsistent, and I don't think that they can run the football properly. So it might be a shootout because the Cowboys defense is just absolutely terrible. But at the same time, I'm trusting the better offense in this game with a shootout like this, and I'm taking the Cowboys in the Mile High City.
I've got the Broncos, Joseph. The Cowboys are not a good team, man. They're 3-2-1 right now. They've lost to the Panthers. Like they beat the teams they've beat are not good. They got absolutely destroyed by the Bears. They got beat by the Panthers. Like these are both like middling teams. Like any good team, they tied with the Packers. Like any team who's like at least okay this season, they've lost to basically or tied. Like they're not a good team. And I mean, they've benefited from playing the Jets, the Saints, I think they played as well. Like they beat the Giants, who are also not a good team. Like they're not good. And I just think the Broncos are actually a good team. And yes, this is a very good offense in Dallas, but the Broncos, I just think they're going to be able to, number one, just keep the ball out of the Cowboys' hands. They're going to run the football a lot in this game, I think. They're going to be dinking and dunking their way down the field, dominating time of possession. I think they're going to be able to get on the same page in this game because receivers are going to be able to get open. Bo Nix is going to be able to hit his guys. And I think Sean Payton's just smart enough to outcoach this Cowboys offense and get the win here because, yes, this is a great offense. Dak's playing good. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is looking like one of the best wide receiver duos in the league this year. But like they've also lost to pretty average teams right now. And I think the Broncos are above average. So give me the Broncos.
I don't like the Broncos, but that's
I know
just
you
me.
don't, man.
Yeah.
They're my team, man. I was hyping them before the season. I'm gonna stay on the hype train here, and I believe in them still. I think they're a solid team here, 5-2. All right, next up, the Packers and the Steelers. Joseph, Sunday Night Football.
I'm taking the Steelers in this game. I'm reluctant to take the Steelers in this game. I'm only taking them because it's a revenge game, and we saw what Aaron Rodgers did in week one.
Play the Packers at all in New
No,
York?
he
Okay.
did not. So I think they were scheduled in his very first year, and then he went out with the
Oh yeah,
Achilles and stuff. So
and he probably wasn't. He just
yeah,
disappeared to like Egypt or South America or something.
exactly. So I'm taking the Steelers in this game. I think that Rodgers is gonna be a bad man. He's gonna be angry. I'm just really scared, man, because Josh Jacobs is an absolute beast, and the Steelers cannot stop the run to save their lives. So this might be a 150-yard rushing performance by Josh Jacobs. I would not be shocked, but just do everything to stop the run. Put 5 or 6 or 7 even in the box if you really wanted to. Just shut it down because Jordan Love has just not looked good this entire year. He put up a mediocre at best performance against the Cardinals last week, and they just do not have a number one wide receiver that can completely shred your secondary. So just put one guy on Romeo, one guy on Matthew Golden, and then just put all your attention on Josh Jacobs. Just please do that for me. And I think Rodgers will find a way to put up points. And if you can shut down a couple drives that's trying to accumulate, then you're gonna win this football game. So just shut down Josh Jacobs. Don't make me regret picking you, and I'm taking Rodgers in his revenge game.
This is one of those games we've seen Rodgers play his best football when he's had something to prove this season. And he has a lot to prove in this game because not only is this his former team who he won a Super Bowl with, game he'll be the fifth quarterback to beat all 32 teams. So
Oh, wow.
you're definitely going to see a motivated Aaron Rodgers in this game. But I've still got the Packers in this one. I mean, the Packers need to win this game because they have basically, maybe not in reality, but for me, they've gone pretty much invisible
Hmm.
since that Cowboys tie a few weeks ago. So I want to see the Packers come out here and just like actually beat a good team. They've been kind of struggling with these middling teams. You played a close game with the Bengals a few weeks ago, close game with the Cardinals. Like, let's see you come out here, beat the Steelers. And I think that run defense and just that defense you saw from the Steelers is really going to do them in this one. I mean, like you said, Joseph, Josh Jacobs is just going to be able to run the ball on the ground. You're not going to ask Jordan Love to do a lot in this game because you can't right now because he is not playing in rhythm. You're not getting peak Jordan Love at the moment, and I think that like I just still think the Packers are better. Like I think that they have the defense to make this a tough game for Aaron Rodgers. I think Micah Parsons, if he's on Broderick Jones in this game, like Lord Aaron Rodgers, man. Like I think that they're going to be able to get after Aaron Rodgers here, and I think that it's going to be tough sledding for this Steelers offense, and the Packers are going to be able to just run the ball, get field position, and just kind of steal this game from the Steelers. All right, last game here, the Commanders and the Chiefs, Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs pretty comfortably. Jaden Daniels might not play in this game. He went down with an injury against the Cowboys last week, so I'm taking the Chiefs. I think they have one of the best offenses in the entire league, and I just don't like the Commanders' defense at all. And I think the Chiefs' defense have a almost elite defense, if not elite defense already. So give me the Chiefs pretty comfortably there at home, and this should be an easy win for the Chiefs.
The Chiefs too. The offense is looking good. I mean, Rasheed Rice is going to absolutely shred
Yeah.
this secondary because this is one of the worst secondaries in the league. The Commanders are also like completely depleted at wide receiver. I don't know if Debo's going to play in this game. You don't know if Terry McLaurin's going to play in this game, and it's ugly. Like the Chiefs are just going to be able to put a chokehold on this Commanders offense, and then they're just going to be able to move the ball at will. I think you could see a big game from Pacheco in this one too, just running the ball, bleeding the clock, and then Rasheed Rice. Like I mean, he came back, looked like his old self in that first game back from his suspension, and I mean, like this Chiefs offense is finally interesting, and the Commanders defense is actually horrendous. Marshawn Lattimore has like a 29.9 grade on PFF. Like it is brutal.
That's crazy. Did you see the bling on Rasheed Rice in the post-game interview? He is drippy. He's got the grill. He's got the chain. I was like, damn, you were just from a 6-game suspension. And then he like posted a video of him working out. It's like, I'm back. And I was like, oh gosh, this guy. But he's a good player.
He's like 6 days in prison.
Yes.
He's got the well, he's just working out in like random fields with like a bench press set that's rusted, but he's just hit another level. He's just gonna be dominant this
Mhm.
season, man. I'm excited. I like him. I'm excited he's back. All right, Joseph, we've got two more segments here. Hardball's lock of the week. It's getting close. I'm
Yeah.
4-3. You're 3-4. Who's
Yeah.
your pick this week?
I've got the Ravens over the Bears as a lock. Lamar has a terrific record against NFC opponents, and he's back. And I think all that rest is really going to do him well. And I just think that they're going to get back on track in this game. I think Caleb's going to make too many mistakes, and I think the Bears defense hasn't looked the greatest in moments, and I think Lamar's going to take full advantage of that. So 300 pass yards, 100 rush yards for Lamar total, and I think it's going to be a complete game for Lamar Jackson, and that's my lock of the week.
Football, man. Like we haven't really seen that from this team at all. So I want to see Lamar with the football here. I've got the 49ers over the Texans, excuse me. I looked this up. I was looking at the games. Texans are favored by a point and a half right now. So I mean, I'm
That's
going to take advantage
crazy.
of Vegas being I don't even know what's going on there. Like that's not even like the betters. Like why are people betting
No.
on the Texans? I don't know. But like this 49ers team's injured, but they've looked good. The Falcons are definitely better than the Texans. And I mean the Texans, I don't know what about that game against the Evidence and them winning that game. So give me the 49ers over the Texans here.
Wow.
All right, and then our last segment, Joseph, top five best balls of the week.
Okay, top five came down to three teams, the Rams, Seahawks, but I picked the Buccaneers in this one. I just think that Baker Mayfield is the better quarterback out of those three teams, and I just think I trust him. I trust their defense to get turnovers, create turnovers. I like them running the football. I love Tristan Wirfs. I think he's been the best tackle in football this year. I just love what they do, and I trust in Baker, so he's still in the top five. Number four, I got the Lions. I have them ahead because they beat the Buccaneers. I still think they have a scary offense when Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown aren't right. And I think this defense, it doesn't matter who they play, just like last year where they had a completely depleted defense. They have it again this year, but they have a great defensive coordinator, and they have a guy in Dan Campbell who is going to create culture and just boost their morale as one of the best teams in the NFC. So that's why have them at number four. Number three, I have the Eagles. They're back on my list because they ran the football, not effectively, but they still ran it at a really high rate. And that just allowed Jalen Hurts to get the passing game going with Devontae Smith as the true number one and A.J. Brown as a complementary piece. And they still have a scary, scary defense who can create a ton of turnovers like they did with that pick six last week. Number two, I have the Chiefs. I think this is one of the best offenses in football with Patrick Mahomes playing at one of the best years that he's ever had in his entire career. He has Rashee Rice back. He has Xavier Worthy. He has Travis Kelce. He has all the tools that he needs. I think Pacheco is going to get right in the second half of the season and really run the ball at a high rate, and they have a terrific defense. So that's why they're number two. And then number one, obviously, is the Colts. Daniel Jones is absolutely balling out of his mind right now. The defense looks incredible. Jonathan Taylor is running the ball at a high rate. Not much more to be said compared to last week, but they're just beating really, really good teams like the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert's a great quarterback, and when you outduel him, you're an elite quarterback to me. So Daniel Jones is in elite territory right now, and that's why they're number one.
For me, this list's really tough because it's a lot of like there's basically outside of the top two for me, it is a whole bunch of people kind of this middle ground, and I don't really think like you could argue it in any direction, in my opinion. So this was a little tough for me, but I've got the 49ers at number five. I just really think what Kyle Shanahan's been able to do, Robert Saleh's been able to do with this depleted core is really impressive. Christian McCaffrey has been unbelievable. I think once you get some of these weapons back, especially on the offensive side, in like Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, like I mean, even just like George Kittle getting a few more games under his belt, like you're gonna see Brock Purdy that you also haven't seen. Like they're gonna get better, and they're already pretty solid. McCaffrey is just unstoppable. He's a beast, and that defense is playing so well even without these key guys. And I feel like there's no reason to believe that they're not going to keep playing like that because we've seen them play like that all season. So I really love what I've seen from the 49ers. I think they're a team that really can go out there and beat anyone, and that's what they've shown the last couple weeks to me. I've got the Eagles at number four. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel good about the Eagles this year. I don't know what it is, but at the same time, they're 5-2. You've seen them be able to get the pass game going. You're hoping that this run game gets itself figured out, but their offense is moving. They can put up points. And as long as Jalen Carter's playing, that defense is pretty scary. So number three for me, or number four for me. Number three for me is the Lions. I mean, I just love what I've seen offensively from them. I mean, we talked a bit about them missing or just not using all their guys, but I feel like I know that they can. Like Laporta can put up play or make big plays when you need to. JMO can make big plays when he needs to. Montgomery can make big plays when he needs to, and you still have Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra, who are both at the very least top five guys at their position. Jared Goff's playing great football as usual. So once that defense gets healthy, I think that they can really solidify themselves as one of these top contending teams because like their secondary is insanely injured right now, and I think that you're going to start to get these guys back pretty quick here. DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold, Brian Branch off his suspension. So once his team kind of gets those players back in the secondary, they're still playing hard, and I think that they can be like a serious contender once you get some of these injury considerations figured out. Number two is the Chiefs. I mean, defense solid as always, and the offense we've seen. Rashee Rice coming back gives them a whole other level of like dynamics to this team. Like you're gonna see them be able to get the ball moving over the middle. You're gonna see them run some screens with him. I think that You've seen like guys like Juju get a bit more involved as well. Like they're dispersing the ball a lot more this year. And I feel like their issue last year was just stagnation. They weren't able to distribute the ball, and we're seeing that this year. Their defense is good, and this offense is playing better than it has in a couple years. Number one is the Colts. I mean, they just are insane. Like the run game is fantastic, the pass game is fantastic, and it doesn't need to be anything insane, but it just complements the run game so well. They score points at a ridiculous rate. I think they punted twice against the Chargers this week. Like they are just the most fast-paced offense, and their defense is good. Like they get turnovers, they get pressure, and I mean, they just look like they can beat any team in the league right now with the Chiefs, in my opinion. So that's my top five.
I would have put your Seahawks ahead of the 49ers, but that's
And
just me.
it's just tough, man. It was a rough Monday night game for the Seahawks in a lot of ways, and I think that we could see it rear its ugly head in some ways. They still can't run the football, and that concerns me. But like I said, I think that there's a bunch of teams. Like the Rams are in there, the Bucks are in there, the Seahawks are in there. Even for me, I think the Broncos are in that lower level as well, where it's a bunch of teams and a little bit of a blob, and you can argue them anyway outside of the
Yeah.
Chiefs and the Colts here. So,
Yeah.
all right, that does it for this episode of the Ball Watchers podcast. Thank you for listening. Make sure you follow us on social media, Instagram and TikTok at Ball Watchers Pod, and then YouTube. If you're not watching the stream, you can always watch the stream of this podcast there at Ball Watchers. And we will be back next Tuesday. Thank you so much for listening. Stay up, Ball Watchers.